Good morning everyone and welcome back to Morning Markets from True Potential. Thank you to those that have been subscribing on the YouTube channel. If you haven't as yet, just hit subscribe. It ensures that you get all of the excellent content from True Potential onto your YouTube feed. Just looking then at how asset markets have performed over the course of last week. At times a pretty volatile journey for equity markets, but if we look at it over the course of the week, we can see that growth as a style marginally outperformed value over the course of the week. If we look at it in terms of the sovereign bond market, really little change there in yields over the course of the week. Currency markets continues the theme of a degree of dollar weakness. If we look at the dollar against the broad basket, main beneficiaries last week were very much sterling and the emerging market countries. If we look then at some of the data from last week, I think it's really worth honing in on the UK and the UK retail sales number that we had on Friday, which was an exceptionally strong number. And I know that forecasting and data points at this point, given the annual change, is very difficult to forecast. But even looking at it on a month-on-month basis, retail sales in the UK were very strong. To give you some context of that, retail sales increased 9.2% month on month, and that's both in value and in volume terms. And you'll have heard us discussing how we try and exclude some of the more volatile items from that, primarily fuel. But even excluding fuel, what can we see there? 9.1% growth in retail sales. And you can see that in the chart below, where you can see just the real step change in growth in retail sales that we've seen. Now, over the course of the period, it's also worth noting, as you can see in this chart, that this takes us back to levels higher than that which we saw prior to COVID-19. So if we look back to February 2020, retail sales are some 10.6% higher at this point in time. Delving into it a little bit more, what were some of the drivers behind it? Really very much about that theme of reopening, seeing strength coming through in clothing sales in particular, up some 64% year on year. But that gives you the real sense of that dynamism that's in that. I think the other key point that I wanted to highlight was just the online component. Now, we know over the past 12 months we've seen a real shift to online sales, with some 34.7% of retail sales in March completed online. Now, it's right that we would expect that to fall in April as the high street has effectively reopened. But online still accounted for 30% of those sales, and that's something that we'll continue to monitor. Does that stay at elevated levels relative to history, and does that mark a change in consumption habits to a shift of spending from physical stores to online stores? I think then if we just look at the week ahead, focusing in there, quite a lot of data points in the US that we'll be having a look at, in particular the Fed's favoured inflation measure, that of personal consumption expenditure. If we just look at markets and how they've performed overnight, little direction really in Asia. Futures at this point are pointing to a better open for the US market, and just for those European markets that are open, a number of European markets closed today. That's it for today. I'll leave it there. Please do join us again tomorrow. Many thanks.
Subscribing to True Potential YouTube channel is quick and easy. Simply go to your YouTube app on your phone, type in True Potential and press the red subscribe option. You'll then be notified as and when new videos are released.